Welcome to another edition of Islanders Insider. I'm Stephen King. We come to you from the locker room today here on the campus of Texas A&M University Corpus Christi, where we're going to be talking some men's basketball with head coach Willis Wilson, men's cross country with the director of track and field cross country, Sean Flanagan. We also have special features focusing on Islander men's basketball and their life as student athletes on the academic end. That's all coming your way momentarily. But right now we are joined by the head coach of men's basketball, Coach Willis Wilson. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good. Very good. The season is coming up. We're right here now. We are right here. Do you want to hurry up and just get this thing started? Or if it were up to you, would you want to get maybe a couple more weeks of practice? And, practice makes perfect. Can't have enough practice.
Coaches can be a little bit fickle. The answer to that question is yes and no.
Okay.
I think our guys are anxious to play against somebody else, and I think that's the point where you learn the most about your team. But in terms of overall preparation, I think from a coaching standpoint, you can never have enough time. We have a great deal of our system in, and our young guys have done a nice job of picking up things and learning as we go along. But there's going to be a learning curve throughout the season, and the one thing that I've learned over the years is that the best way to figure out where you are and who you are is to play basketball games, and I think this will be another example of that.
No doubt. Now, after the final horn of the final game of the College Invitational Tournament at Lafayette last year, what list of goals did you set in your mind, or at least the number one goal that you wanted to accomplish as you prepared for this upcoming season?
Well, I don't know that the end of last year really changed the goals that I have for this program. We want to be a mid-major breakthrough. I think nationally, on a national level, we've developed a reputation over the last 3 years of a program that can contend, that competes, that plays hard. I think you're going to find a lot of positive things that are floating around out there in the basketball scene about Islander basketball. The truth of the matter is we have yet to make that breakthrough. Our goal is to make that NCAA tournament. Our goal is to become a mid-major breakthrough by repeating that task. For us to reach that goal, we got to get there the first time, and then we've got to be able to do it on a consistent basis. And so the second the season ended last year, I guess we just really renewed ourselves to what we've come here to do as a basketball program.
With the season coming up and the games getting ready to start looking at the game itself. Now, every year the game is tweaked with some additions of rules or elimination of others along the way. What are some of the new points of emphasis that referees are going to be looking for this season, and how are you preparing your team for these types of changes?
There were a number of things last year where the officials did a much better job. I think the freedom of movement over the last few years on the perimeter has really been good. Things of that nature, really allowing the offense to score and wanting to make it more of a skill game. I really like those concepts. I think they're going to really try to dial in on making this a much more free-flowing basketball game where skill is rewarded as opposed to strength. I think the first place to look is in the post. They're going to really try to do a good job. They've done a pretty good job on the perimeter. The post offense and defense has to be brought up, and I think what we're going to see is more double fouls in the post. We're going to see maybe some things that the fans frankly don't understand with defenders being allowed to protect themselves in the post. That means they're going to be allowed to play with an arm bar in the offensive player's back, which is contact, but there are ways that they're going to adjudicate those things and things that they call mechanics that they're looking for. As long as players understand that, I think the game will flow a lot more freely, and I think we'll see a better basketball game. I really like the direction that things are headed with officiating. I'm not sure that I love all officials just yet, but we're going in the right direction.
You had a great feature last month on your extremely talented incoming freshman class, but in my opinion, one of the things that can undermine talent is lack of chemistry. Can you coach chemistry, or is that something strictly organic for the players?
I think everything can be coached to a degree. I think every team, every individual has a window, and you can hit the top of your window, and you're just not going to go any higher. It's hard to coach around bad chemistry. Mm-hmm. You can coach to good chemistry, and I don't know if that exactly answers your question, but I think we have a lot of buy-in. I think we're a little bit different than we were a year ago, and we were more different last year than previous years. But I think the significance of why we're so different this year is we have veteran guys that have been through the program for 4 years and been successful. And so the positive traditions that we've been able to establish and the expectation for being success is a big part of it. And then we have this clean slate of young guys that we can really shape and mold for what we're trying to accomplish. And I think because they're so willing to follow, and because we have this foundation to look back and say, hey, we've been to postseason 3 years in a row. The young guys coming in, they really respect that, and they're able to really gravitate toward the things that we try to do to champion our cause. And I also think that great leadership and just transparency goes a long way toward helping create good chemistry. And I think most teams have good chemistry now. It's when you lose a game or you run into some sort of adversity during the season, that's when your chemistry is really challenged.
One more question for you, Coach. One of the most electrifying players on the roster for your team is junior Ehab Amin. Fans kind of get on their edge of their seat when he takes the floor because he's always up to something interesting. Now, his aggression and passion are the calling cards on the court. How do you help him enhance that instinctual nature that he has? And how do you make it work for your team?
Well, I think you have to let him be who he is. You have to allow him to play with that same level of aggression. I think the hardest thing for Ehab this year, at least coming in my mind, was making that transition from being kind of an everything reckless guy that plays with abandon, that creates that excitement that you just mentioned, to going to a guy that can run our basketball team over a 40-minute game over a full season. He's made that adjustment extremely well so far, and part of what we have to see and continue to see out of him is just maturity, growth as a mature leader, a guy that can play his game but also play for others, and that's tough to do, but he's done a pretty good job of it so far. I've been really pleasantly surprised.
Well, it should be an exciting time, and we're right up upon it, as I mentioned before. Coach, good luck.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Coach Willis Wilson joining us here in the locker room. Hey, at this time, let's send it out to Shelby Hodges and an Islanders update.